And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
What is up, everyone? You'll have a good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whenever y'all are listening to this. This is RBLR Bucs. I am Carter Brantley, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Zach Blaine. How you doing today, Mr. Blaine?
I am doing pretty good, brother. I can't complain too much, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right, You know, we're in the thick of spring training for baseball, so that's kind of fun. And obviously, it's the drolls of the NFL offseason. So, you know, that's a bit of a downer, but sorry.
The combine's been fun to watch.
That's a very good point. That is a great shout out. The combine has been a blast. A lot of Sonny Styles talk because, my goodness, what a player. So, yeah, we've got a good bit to talk about. We'll talk about some free agents towards the end of the episode, but we're going to start our show with a little bit of a different topic. It's a good bit serious. It's a good bit more serious than usual. We're going to talk about some serious mental health stuff. So we did want to put a little bit of a content warning or whatever you want to call it, just because we know some folks might not be in the right headspace, or they might just not be wanting to hear about this kind of stuff. It can elicit all kind of emotions and reactions. So if you're not interested in hearing this talk, if you're not in the right headspace for it, feel free to skip past this, tune out for a while. Our wonderful producer is going to put a timestamp in the description when we go back to our normal programming. But yeah, we're going to be talking about some really important mental health stuff, because while it is sensitive, it's scary. It's not necessarily always super fun. It's really important. It's really important. It's essential, frankly. And unfortunately, it's been brought about because of the tragic passing of Rondale Moore, wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. He unfortunately passed away, and it was self-inflicted. So we just wanted to talk about it, because this is something that's near and dear to our hearts. And obviously, thoughts, prayers, good vibes, whatever good energy you can put out going towards Rondale Moore's family, his loved ones, his friends. It's a tragedy. You know, it's awful. It was horrible to hear about. And, you know, just wishing for as all the best that can be in a horrible situation like this. But Zach, this was your idea, so I wanted to give you the floor to kind of speak on it, share your thoughts, and go for it, my man.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, this is something that hits real close to home for me, and not because of like I've lost people from it, but because I was in that situation. That was me 5 years ago when I went through my divorce and dealing with losing my kids half the time and all that fun stuff. Already got tears. Cool. But it really, for me, it wasn't just the Rondale Moore situation. This is the third one this year, high profile in sports. Kyron Lacey and then Marshawn Nealon during the season, and now Rondale Moore. I'm not going to be the most articulate person talking about this. I'm not a therapist. But it to me, this goes to show that the generation we're in and growing up the way that we did, it's like it's not okay to not be okay. And it hurts to see that someone who is as successful as some of these guys feel like they can't talk about it. And so I think the biggest part for me in wanting to talk about it on the show is for you and I, and Musab was going to be here originally, but for us to be able to have candid conversations about how, even though we were raised to kind of grow up and be, you're a man, you're not supposed to have emotions, you're not supposed to feel sad, you're not supposed to cry, you're not supposed to do all this. I think it's important for us as people that, whether it's one person listening or 20 people listening or hundreds, it needs to go out and be seen that us as men are able to come together and talk about stuff like this.
Yeah. And I mean, this is I'm really touched that you feel compelled to share this with me, and for the rest of the folks listening, I'm sure they feel the same way. It's really important and it's beautiful. You know, I know it's really tragic and it's awful, but it's wonderful that we can have this space to try to, like you said, try to make it okay to not be okay, because man, yeah, the stigma has, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I have experienced that it's grown lesser, but it's still there, right? Like it's still very much there. Like it's
I'm a little bit older than you, obviously, telling my age. I just turned 30 last year. And growing up there was such a stigma on,
Sure.
you're a boy, you don't cry. Like, and I don't blame that on my parents. I love my parents, and it's
Right.
not a dig on them by any means. That's how they were raised. And then they raised us that way. And for the longest time, I just had two boys. So I initially kind of raised them that way. And luckily, it wasn't long enough to affect them in that manner. But when I went into the military, the military breaks you down as a human. I'm sure other people know that are listening. And again, it went from being told boys don't cry to going into the military and it being, hey, you're not a human, you're just a soldier.
Right.
And then getting out, and that's again another big part of my life is, there are 22 veterans a day that commit suicide. And that's not okay. And
Right.
so that's why, like, it hurts to talk about that side of my life, but like it hurts in a good way. I'm glad that I can feel that emotion because before I couldn't. So now that I've made it through it, and it's always there. Like there's days where I'm like, never a day where I'm like, this is the day, but like there are days where I'm like, I'm just not happy.
Yeah.
I'm upset. Like I don't know why. And I think being able to talk and, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, whatever day we do the show, like getting to talk to you guys, like it's stuff that has been so instrumental in me getting to where I need to be. And I think that that's another big reason I wanted to talk about on the show, is because there are people out there that while you look so happy on the outside, you look like you're living your best life, on the inside, you don't feel that way. Like I've got everything I want in life right now, but there's days where, again, it just sucks. Like that's part of it. But I get to come on the show and talk to you guys and brighten my day up. I get to come home and hug my kids. Like there's stuff that you need to be able to release that emotion. And there are hotline numbers. I'm sure we will put them in the description, and, but even more, if you don't follow me on Twitter, this is not for a follow. If you need to message me, like even as crazy as that sounds, like I literally will message back. Like it hits close to home. So I want to be able to help people that are feeling that way. And I know I'm always the happy one on the show. Like I talk trash and I make jokes, and it's that is a character, and that is me in real life. But in serious situations, like I will 100% be there to talk to whoever needs it. I don't care if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, whatever it is. You're Carter, you, Musab, Eureka, anyone ever needs to talk. I am 100% here for that, because it is such a serious thing.
Yeah, and we may disagree on what the Bucs should do with their draft pick,
100%.
All of that silly stuff. But this we do 100% on the same page on. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so important to be able to accept that life is unfortunately filled with potholes. It's filled with ups and downs and all this nonsense that can really. Or not nonsense, serious stuff too.
It might sound like nonsense to somebody else.
Right. Exactly.
But if it affects you that much, like you need to, it's such a cliche saying, and it might sound cheesy to some people, but it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah. It's your feelings are valid, even if
100%.
Even if you necessarily feel this way, but other people see that and think, oh, that's stupid. Why do you feel that way about that? Like, that's no big deal. Well, it's a big deal to someone, it's a big deal.
Exactly.
And, it's important to be able to recognize that and, just be able to be open about it, because otherwise you hold it in and it kind of can eat away at you. And, I mean, even if you're listening and you haven't necessarily been to that place, I'm sure there are people that know people that have struggled with this kind of thing, and it touches everyone, unfortunately, and it's a tough part of life, but I think that the best way to fight it is to just recognize it and be open about it, because otherwise, like I said, it eats away at you. So yeah, it's unfortunate that Rondale Moore's passing forced, I don't want to say forced us, but brought this up. But I think it's a really important topic to talk about. It's really important to be able to talk about it openly amongst folks that are struggling. And yeah, we've got the hotline at the bottom. There's crisis text line. There's a veteran crisis line for veteran folks as well. It's really important to utilize these resources if you're feeling down, or if you're not doing well, because there's plenty of people that are also not doing well. You're not alone. That's the biggest thing for sure.
Yeah, and I think even more importantly, if you're not feeling those feelings, like, that's okay too.
Yeah.
Check on your friends.
Of course. Yes.
It's the happy ones that you would never expect it to happen to,
Sure.
that it happens to. So it's like, just check on your friends, text them and tell them you love them. Make sure they're good. That's another big takeaway from this as well. You may not be feeling those feelings, and you may not be in that place, and I am so happy for you. Like, I pray that everyone never has to feel that. But the reality is that that's not everyone's life.
Right.
Check on your friends.
I think even I've tried to incorporate some things into my own life to try to fight some of this stuff. And it's sometimes practicing gratitudes is really helpful for me. Like, if I'm going to sleep, or if I'm up at night late and I'm like just struggling, like thoughts racing a million miles per hour, I'll try to think of, well, I'm thankful for this. I'm thankful for my pets, my fiance, my family, all that stuff. And I think that's really helped ground me a little bit, like kind of bring me back to this. And there are a million different things that you can try to do. That's just one of them, many different practices. Like I meditate a lot too. That helps me so much, because like earlier today, I was just feeling just foggy, like just kind of grogged up, and it was raining. And when it's raining, man, I am a huge meditation geek. And it really helps me just kind of take a deep breath, like remember that, like, everything's going to be okay. And yeah, it's tough, man. Life can really kick your butt, but if you get back up, that's all that matters. And yeah, man, I mean, I really appreciate you sharing all of this with us, Zach. I mean, I know this is such an important thing, and it's a beautiful thing, because even if it's just one person that listens to this and is like, even slightly changes their outlook a little bit, I feel like that was an important thing for us. And
that was the whole point in it. I hate being emotional. Like,
of course, no one really likes it.
Especially when I play this character. Like, it's me on the podcast. I'm not playing a character, but like, I play this character per se, and it's to get on here and be emotional and be open with you guys is not something that I've really had the ability to do. Honestly, for me, it's going to sound super weird, but being a boy dad, this never happened. I didn't cry. I didn't feel emotional. Being a girl dad changed that in me so hard, because because I have to. There's so many more emotions with raising a girl than raising a boy, and my stepdaughter Aria introduced me into being a girl dad, and now I have Hazel, who's our 3-year-old, and man, I cry like a baby now, dude. It's not something that I would have ever imagined in the past, but dude, it's been so refreshing to be able to, like, I don't care if someone's on here and sees me crying and calls me a pussy. Like, that doesn't bother me anymore. And it's so important to me to share stuff like this. Like, I know this episode is emotional and it's not what everyone wants to hear, but I'm glad that you guys gave me the platform. And I know Eureka has always been super cool and about talk what you want to talk about. And you guys are always so welcoming about everything. And I just appreciate you and Eureka and Musab, even though he's sick, get better, brother.
Yeah.
Even you guys being okay to allow me to do this episode. I really appreciate that. I don't think you guys understand how much it means to me.
I didn't even, frankly, I didn't think twice about it. Like, I mean, I don't mean that in like, oh, it's like, who cares? Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't give it a second thought. It was important for us to have this discussion and to be able, and it really sucks that this is what provoked it. I think in the future, maybe this can be an annual thing. Maybe we can have like an It's Okay to Not Be Okay episode once a year. It doesn't have to stem from tragedy. It can be just from like hey, like, that kind of thing. I think that would be a really beautiful thing. Try to take something positive out of a horrible situation, obviously. But did you have any other closing thoughts before we move on to less serious and silly?
I was going to say, I think we're pretty close to getting into the fun stuff.
Yes.
Last thing, I said it earlier, if you're feeling a certain way and you need someone to talk to, message me, or one of the hotlines. Like, somebody will be there for you. And again, check on your friends. The happiest ones are the ones that are going through it sometimes. Check on your friends, message them, tell them you love them. Just be there for them. That's my closing statement.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell them you love them if they're not here. I know that's a horrible way to put it, but it's just
it's you never know. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody.
Yeah. Even
don't wait on something to happen to love on your friends. Like, it's not weird to text your boy and tell him you love him. Like, it's not. I mean, if you do it out of the blue, maybe, but like, if that's your best friend, check on him. If that's someone you're close to, check on him. Don't let it go unknown that you care about somebody. It's crazy.
For sure, because then the vice versa can happen. Then it can be like a mutual love fest, and then everyone's feeling a little bit better, and that's the goal, right? That's the goal. That's what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to get better. And yes, reach out to licensed medical professionals. I know we put the hotline up a little bit earlier, and we'll have it in the description as well, because there are people that are out there that are willing to help, and it's incredibly important, and they have critical jobs, and God bless them. Thankfully they're there, because it's really important. It's critical. I mean, like you said, it's really important. So yeah, I appreciate you being so open and sharing with us, Zach. We really appreciate it. And like I said, this could be a beautiful annual thing. Maybe we can make it February. Maybe at the end of February we'll have an episode like this once a year. So that would be truly beautiful. So yeah. So anyways, I don't know how to transition from that into Bucs talk, but let's talk about some Bucs stuff, because there's some fun stuff that we have towards the end of our episode that we're going to get into. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about, and this will give us an opportunity to get a little bit more lighthearted, because it's just so fun, not funny necessarily, but kind of silly. The ownership grades were released. There was talk of them not releasing them, and then it just got leaked out. I don't really understand the thought process behind the ownership trying to ban it, but they tried to put the kibosh on it, and it got leaked anyways. And the Bucs, unfortunately, were bottom 3, I believe. Overall, team ownership got a D. The team travel got an F. The home game field got an F-, so even below an F, which is tough. And yeah, there was a lot of the treatment of families got a D, food, dining area, D+, locker room, D-. A lot of stuff that really didn't come off too well. The defensive coordinator got an A-, while the head coach got, I believe, a B.
What sense does that make?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, they're the same person, and they got 2 different grades. I guess maybe they really are getting into like, hey, Todd Bowles, pretty good defensive coordinator, but not a good head coach, which I don't know. What were your thoughts on the ownership?
It was disappointing to see. I believe a majority of our grades went down from last year.
Yeah.
So while they weren't great last year, they got worse this year.
Yeah, somehow.
I'm glad that I'm not the only one that sees how poor ownership is, because apparently the players do too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I'm just waiting for them to go, hey, you know what? Now's the time to make a change. I don't foresee it happening anytime soon, but
yeah. Unfortunately, NFL teams famously a very profitable venture, so they're not going to be too excited to sell, and the NFL only seems to kick out owners when they do something illegal or something, and even and even then maybe not. So
how long was what was it, Schneider?
Oh gosh, yeah, Snyder held on to that team for so dang long after so many just like atrocious things. Anyways, we don't even have to get into that, but yeah, man, it was really disappointing, frankly. Yeah, that's the great way of putting it, because it was really atrocious last year. Last year it was really bad. You would hope that one of these years it would be a wake up call, To this point, clearly has not been. And it's really disappointing because there's a lot of, the ownership grades. I hope people don't look into this and think, oh, the Bucs are a trash organization. They're really trash. Because there are some great people that work in the organization.
Yeah.
But people up top, maybe not the best, maybe maybe they kind of stink. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. Because, I think the social media team does a pretty good job. Like they treat the press folks pretty well. Like there are positives in the organization, but unfortunately, the positives don't pay the players. They don't set up all the resources. They don't set up the childcare and, the home field stuff and the food in the dining area. They don't do necessarily the things that the players are dealing with every day, so it's tough. It's really difficult when there's not a big investment from ownership. A lot of things can fall by the wayside, and that seems to be what's happened here because stuff like team travel, stuff like a locker room that's just easily preventable and easily fixable. And it seems like they're just not putting the time, energy, and the most important thing, money into it. And that's really disappointing because the NFL, like I just said, it's a very profitable endeavor. If they could afford to do this, like they have the money to do this, they cannot lie and say, oh, well, we just, profit margins, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, there's enough money to do this. This isn't, a different sport. This is the NFL. They own a day of the week. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty gross. It's pretty disgusting. It's pretty disappointing. But it is also kind of funny because, like I said, the defensive coordinator head coach thing was kind of an inconsistency that I found funny. And the special teams coordinator got a C+. How?
No shot. Like, no shot, bro.
Oh,
what gets me the most is like you had said, it's one of those things that like it's not the people that work in the building's fault, but like it does suck because I do think that there's genuinely people that go, everything about the Bucs is trash.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, I can't blame them for it. Like obviously you look at it realistically, like that lunch lady that's serving the food over there, that's not her fault.
Right. Exactly.
But like, if I go to a restaurant, I know it's not the server's fault that my food was cooked bad, but also I won't go back.
Right.
Like,
yeah. No,
you know what I mean? So I get why people would go, yep, the Bucs are just a trash organization.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's hard because like you can, like the Bengals fall under this umbrella for me too. Like the Bengals have such an awful reputation of just like not paying folks, not paying for things, just cutting corners, just trying to find ways to just pay less money for things. And it really comes at the expense of, I mean, we've seen it over the years, like that whole nonsense with the rookie contracts this past year with them was just mind boggling. And it really put like kind of this dark cloud, I feel like, over their whole team really, because it was just like, yeah. And I don't know. So but I know that like, if we went to Cincinnati or if we went to a Cincinnati Bengals game, there would be aspects of it that were enjoyable. And like, I'm sure that players would say that too. They're like, it's not all awful, but unfortunately, like I said, the people that are up top, the people that are in charge seem to be doing a very poor job of showing the proper support and the resources. But getting back to the coordinator and the head coaching thing, I do wonder if maybe, players don't want to be too harsh because, you're interacting with these coaches every day, and a coach isn't going to keep his job if he's a real turd. Like if he's not able to get along with players, then like, if the coach is just being a total jerk, then like they probably won't keep their job, So
exactly
the fact that the special teams coordinator kept their job for as long as he did, I think that might lead credence to like the players saying, well, he wasn't great at his job, but he was a nice guy. So like, I don't want to give him an F, you know what I mean? And I kind of get that. Cause like I can be like that with I think we can all be like that with our coworkers. Like if someone's nice, but they kind of suck at their job, then you're going to be like, well, they kind of stink, but at the same time, they're cool hang. So like, am I going to be as, so it's a tough balance to walk. And I wonder how much that sort of played into the grading process, especially with the coaching staff and the general. I know, Zach, you'll have an issue with it, but Jason Light got an A-, and I wonder if that plays a factor.
I'm sure all the Bucs players like him because even if they're not worth it, he pays them. Like,
yeah, well,
I love him.
Yeah, maybe the the Zion McCollums of the world gave him a good grade because they were like,
well, they don't got to worry about a replacement because we'll just keep you. You're good.
That's right. Yeah. So maybe that's why he got such a good grade. But regardless, sort of some nasty vibes from the ownership and from this report card that was released by the NFLPA. So kind of, I thought it was kind of a funny topic for us to talk about because it's just taking a dump on rich people. Who doesn't love that?
Didn't they come out and say they didn't want those coming out to the public anymore?
Oh yeah, the ownership tried to prevent it.
And it just came. I was like, wait, I thought we weren't getting these anymore.
I know. Yeah, it was real funny. Like the Jets owner Woody Johnson was like spearheading this effort because. Oh yeah, real.
Weren't the other bottom three?
Yeah, exactly. So like they were all up in arms about like, oh well, these shouldn't be coming out. This is against the CBA, and apparently the NFLPA like was kind of powerless or had their hands tied, whatever the case may be, and they weren't allowed to technically release this, but these were all leaked. So
yeah, you're not releasing anything if it's leaked.
Leaked. It's real. Yeah, it's real weird. It's real like, what are we doing here kind of thing. So it's very strange, very weird, very just very like people in power coded that just don't want anything about how the inner workings of things to be released to the public. So it's gross. It's another nauseating aspect of being in society right now, but that's okay. Transparency is usually the best method, but the people that don't want transparency are typically because the Bucs or other teams aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So it's gross, but that's okay. It's not okay, but it happens. So more fun topic, shifting our gears to a little bit still lighthearted, but a little bit more fun. I want to talk about some realistic or dream free agents that the Bucs could sign. I broke it down into two categories because I thought that it would be more fun to think about it in terms of like guys who the Bucs probably could sign versus guys who the Bucs probably won't sign, but they should. You know what I mean? Like kind of because I know that we've had these discussions about like how they treat the salary cap and how they're not necessarily willing to do void contracts as much as they were in the Brady era. And yeah, that's a whole separate conversation. But I figured we could still talk about free agents because there are a lot of good guys out there.
There really are, yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of fun guys out there that could make a difference for this Bucs team, even if they're not necessarily the guys that we think of or are our dream targets. So I figured we'd start with the fun ones. We'd start with the dream targets. I'll kick things off. I picked Jalen Phillips. He's probably, if not the best edge rusher, one of the best edge rushers available. He was top 20 in pass rush grade on PFF last year, 5th in hurries, 14th in stops. He's had a lot of injuries. That's kind of the big bugaboo with him. But when he's on the field, he is a force. He's really, really good. Excuse me. I've got for a guy that was on an expiring deal who's had as many injuries as he had to get a 3rd round pick from the Philadelphia Eagles kind of shows like he was traded at the trade deadline from the Dolphins. Yeah. That kind of shows how good he is. And he really made a difference because the Eagles defense, obviously, the year before this past season was probably the best it was the best in football. This past season took a little bit of a step back, but Jalen Phillips kind of brought him back to being in that conversation, at least in the top 10 or top 5. So he would be an immediate upgrade. Obviously, him and Yaya Diaby coming off of the edge would turn that weakness into a potential like strength. And it would be really fun to watch him go to work. So who was the guy that you had for your dream free agent?
Dream free agent? Devin Lloyd is my main one. I do think he will price himself out of Tampa's range.
Yeah.
But I also think that he's probably has the potential to be one of the top 10 inside linebackers in football. And
I think he might be top 5 at this point.
I was going to say top 5.
Oh, that's not a hot take at all.
But the potential, he has the potential to be top 5. I think with the start of his career not being as flashy as it
for sure.
That's why I said top 10.
I
didn't go through all the stats and everything to give like specific numbers, but
no, he was great.
The dude was the heartbeat of Jacksonville's defense. Like,
and it was a good group last year.
It was a great group, and I think he was a massive part of that.
Absolutely.
And I think bringing in a guy like him to replace Levante David, even if he comes back, having a guy like that who's not 32 years old, like he's still young. Levante David can still play. He can still learn from Levante David, which is the even bigger part.
Sure.
But I think it would instantly make Tampa's defense twice as good. Like, it's significantly better.
Yeah, he's definitely him and Phillips in my mind are probably the two biggest game changers. Lloyd probably more than Phillips, frankly. And yeah, if if Lloyd ends up in a Bucs uniform, man, the Bucs are going to be actually like not a bad team. Like they're already going to be fine because they're in the NFC South, but I think Lloyd turns them from like they'll maybe win the division to like, oh, like they might win a couple playoff games. Like they're going to be really difficult to deal with. And that's crazy to say about just one player, but I think it shows not only how. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you were about to say exactly what I was going to say. That's why I stopped. He's that good.
Yeah, and not only is he that good, also the linebacker group is also that bad.
Yeah, exactly. We could bring in Alex Anzalone, and I think it makes us a legitimate threat now. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, and Alex, no hate on Alex Anzalone. He's a good linebacker.
No, I just kind of gave away my realistic option.
Oh well, hey, before we get into realistic, because I do want to hear about your thoughts on Alex Anzalone. I did want to touch on one last like. Putting this guy as a dream free agent candidate might like sound weird, but like Caden Ellis, the linebacker from the Atlanta Falcons, he's like the best pass rushing interior linebacker in football right now. He was second in total pressures. He's a bit of a downgrade in run defense, but a bit of an upgrade in coverage. But his big thing would just be like if you pair him next to a good coverage linebacker, say in the draft, if they go with that position in the first, second, or third round, Jacob Rodriguez would be a good guy. Then you can do some really interesting and creative things with that defense. And I know that we hate Todd. We've hated on Todd Bowles a lot and very well deserved. But if you give him Caden Ellis, I think it unlocks some things that could be really interesting because of all of the bad things that Todd Bowles does. I think we can at least say he does some interesting stuff with blitz packages. And I think Caden Ellis gives him a very, very usable piece in that defense. But again, very like, dang, can't you dream a little bigger than Caden Ellis? Like, I feel you. But at the same time, like Caden Ellis also a good football player. So I don't want to.
I would say he is a great football player, and I think that shows how cheap our front office is. That Ellis is a dream target for us because that's not even Caden Ellis. I don't think is realistic in Tampa. Like.
Yeah, I feel you.
He could be, but he's not. Like
that's kind of why I put him in the dream category.
That's not a bad one, and I think it kind of goes along with my next one in Isaiah Likely. I think that he is a dream because I don't think that Tampa would pay for him.
Right.
But again, I think he would drastically change this offense. I think he's a better receiver than Cade Otton. He's more athletic than Cade Otton. And I don't have to worry about little dump off passes that might get bobbled 4 times and picked off. So I don't know. I know that that's probably not like a needle mover for this team because our offense is relatively good.
Yeah.
Again, going back to defense, I think there's other guys that obviously like Reek Woolen.
Reek Woolen would be really interesting.
I don't think we necessarily need another corner. I know we talk about it like drafting one, but signing one to instantly be a starter, I don't think is the right move for us. But
I agree.
Before George Pickens got that franchise tag, I was sure to love him here.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't any team in football? That guy, my goodness, he was insane last year. Just put up just ridiculous stuff from George Pickens. It's funny what playing with like a really good quarterback can do. And I know Dak Prescott is inconsistent and has had his struggles, but he's
a lot better than Mason Rudolph.
For sure. He is a pretty massive upgrade over what they had in Pittsburgh. So, George Pickens would have been a heck of a lot of fun. I think we've touched on our dream free agent candidates and unless you had anyone else, I know you mentioned Reek Woolen, but
I would love to have Reek Woolen here.
Sure.
Like if you told me, hey, we're going to sign Reek Woolen and Zion McCollum's out, I'd be all for it.
Cool.
I think we have bigger needs.
Yeah, I agree.
A veteran corner. Like I would love one, but I would rather fill veteran roles with somebody or veteran players into other positions that we need more. Because you got to think, we've got Benjamin Morris and we drafted him in the second round. He's got potential. He shut down A.J. Brown.
Yeah, he looked good in spurts. He looked awful in others.
I was going to say he had really bad spurts and really good spurts.
Right, but that's a rookie.
If we come into the median there, that's a pretty good player.
Yeah,
Jacob Parrish played great in the slot.
Yeah,
they're talking about him having a shot to be an outside corner this year. I love Jacob Parrish. He is too small to be an outside corner.
And also you're taking away from you're turning a great position, and I think people hear the nickel spot and they think like they're less important, and maybe to a certain extent, sure. But I think with modern offenses, especially, like, nickel corners are not just as important or impactful as outside corners, but man, it's close. Like,
watching the combine today, I actually saw something. It's funny that you say that. I watched something, or that someone had said something. It may have been Chris Rose, said that he had done an interview with somebody, and he didn't name the coach, obviously, but he said
anonymous executive or whatever. Yeah.
If they had to pick between an elite slot guy and an elite outside guy, they would take an elite slot guy because of the way the NFL is going now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
I related with it because, I mean, you saw us do it last year. We had Tyke Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the year before that, we had, oh my God, what's the little guy's name?
Oh, Christian Isian?
Yeah, Christian Isian. Came in and played really good slot corner.
Yeah.
But then they're like, all right, we're going to move you to safety, and we're going to put Tyke Smith in.
Yeah.
Tyke Smith comes in, plays really good slot corner.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move you to safety.
Right.
So it's like you've hit twice now at slot corners. Jacob Parrish is the third hit. I don't want to test our luck and try and get a fourth slot corner that's going to play really good slot corner. I think Parrish has found his spot, found his niche. Like, he should stay there. I'm looking more at Benjamin Morrison and Zion McCollum. I have, in my mind, a higher ceiling for Benjamin Morrison.
Sure. Yeah.
Zion, obviously, I love Zion. Like, thank you for what you do. Not a fan. Like, as a person, you're cool. As a player, not a fan. Haven't been since he got here.
Right.
But I struggle to sign like Reek Woolen. Like, I would love it, but Zion would have to go.
Yeah.
And that's not happening.
Yeah. And I think that, you can't trade him because the trade value is probably not there. And if you cut him, then you're eating a lot of salary. And I don't know, as much as we have talked about the ownership's unwillingness to break the bank a little bit, we're definitely not going to break the bank to pay a guy that's not even on the team anymore.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's a tough spot, but so I do think the slot versus outside position is a really fascinating conversation, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's just so interesting. It gets into like roster construction and how you value certain positions over others, like what has a higher impact, and that's really cool to me. Like, I love those types of conversations, and we'll have some more of those throughout the offseason. By the way, I know we're going to have some episodes to fill with, light news weeks. So I'm sure we'll have some fun episodes to bring up. But that brings us to our realistic free agents that we wanted to talk about for the Bucs. And I have a couple. I'll start with John Franklin Myers, who might border onto the dream aspect a little bit, because he is probably
close.
Very close, because he's probably one of the best interior defensive linemen available in free agency. But I think that speaks more to the fact that there's not like top end talent at this spot in free agency, which is fine. And I think John Franklin Myers provides like a very immediate upgrade over Logan Hall or whoever else was, or Elijah Roberts. It also allows Elijah Roberts to be like a backup, which I think is probably better for him. He's very much like the sort of a good pass rusher. He was 18th in total pressures among interior defensive linemen, but he also had the 25th highest run defensive grade. And he was really good for the Denver Broncos. And I think he would do a really great job of stepping in and filling in that hole, especially because Kancey he's super talented, but he can't stay on the field. So having Franklin Myers there would kind of ease that burden, ease that sort of pressure for Kancey to stay on the field. And like I said, it pushes Elijah Roberts back to that backup interior defensive line spot so that he can fill in for Kancey, unfortunately, if that, obviously hoping
that happens.
Right. Yeah. It just
next Jamel Dean at this point, like
a little bit. Yeah. It's
but
yeah, it's getting kind of tough. So yeah, John Franklin Myers, that's my first realistic free agent. But who you mentioned Alex Anzalone, but who was if you want to talk about him, but you could also talk.
I'll go with a different one to start. Khalil Mack.
Come on.
I don't think
okay.
I
Nealon. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Neelan, go. What mommy's calling you?
Or Neelan.
But he's up here farting real loud. As a Great Dane, it's not fun to be in this room right now. I've been trying to hold it together for you guys. But
I am so sorry, man.
Farts, man.
Oh, that stinks, literally.
Literally, yeah. But no, Khalil Mack, great player still. Is still so productive at his age, which is wild. You don't normally see edge guys perform at the level that he is at his age. I know there's a few. I hate to be positive on the Saints, but Cam Jordan being one of them. Like there's a few guys.
Yeah.
But Khalil Mack is 35 now. Like he's old.
Yeah.
Which fits perfectly what Tampa likes to do. We'll take an old guy, get him for a season, and call it a year. But I think he'd be, again, an automatic impact. Like, I do think while it wouldn't be as fun as getting Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, he would make us significantly better. Like, that's how poor our defensive end group is right now. And it's sad, but it's true. And I mean, I wouldn't be mad if we got Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
He's not on my top list of people I want, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, I get you. And I almost included him in my realistic spot, but I also kind of thought, man, that brick wall is going to come, the father time,
agreed,
the drop off. And so it's a bit of a risk, but like you said, that's a very Bucs. It seems like that's their MO. Like they did it with Hassan Reddick. They tried it with, what was his name? Randy Gregory. They tried it with him. And obviously that didn't even, it didn't even happen, but Khalil Mack, man, it's been flirted with for a while. Like I think last season he was a free agent too, and he went, so it's been kind of a dream thing for Bucs fans for a while, and I do think it would be a fun fit. I actually would. I'm in agreement with you. I would like to see it happen. But I would have
liked to see it happen 3 years ago, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, that's a good shout for sure. My other guy, which this is almost even more boring than the Caden Ellis shout because no one's heard of Caden Ellis. No one's heard of this guy either. Sean Ryan. He's a backup interior offensive lineman. He's from Green Bay. He played right guard in 2024. He was at least serviceable, and he served as the backup center last year. He would be like a very high level backup. He would probably be one of the better backup interior offensive linemen in football. I think he would be an immediate upgrade over Michael Jordan or any of the other. The group of the rotating door of interior of left or right guards that they tried to replace Cody Mauch and Ben Bredesen was with. It was just atrocious last year. It was bad. It was a big reason why the offense struggled at some points during the season. It was because they just couldn't figure out that interior offensive line, because when you miss both guards, like that is
it's so huge.
Yeah, and it makes everyone else's job so much harder. Like I do, obviously Graham Barton had a very massive step back last year, but I think this might have contributed to it a little bit. And so
I sure as hell hope so.
Right, yeah,
I hope that's what it was.
Right, yeah. You'd like to think optimistically that's what it was. So I think Sean Ryan provides a good bit of insurance. The main concern here is just that someone sees him more of as a starter and brings him in. I don't know how realistic that is, but I do think that the Bucs bringing him in on like a 1 year, $3 or $4 million deal would be kind of fun, and he would provide some more insurance for the offensive line that they desperately need, frankly, because the offense looked. I mean, I know getting rid of Grizzard probably helps too, but giving them a little bit more insurance for that interior offensive line, it would be a massive help. So that's my second realistic guy, and even that is like again another boring realistic guy. But
I just think it's funny that you said bringing in an interior offensive line guy would be fun.
I know. I get weird about that kind of stuff because like no one else likes him, and no one else likes
100%. And I will be the first to admit, when we did, if you guys are listening to this right now, when we did our
All-Pro team.
Our all RBLR teams.
Yes.
I am not going to throw Musab or I under the bus completely, but the only one that entered results for offensive line was Carter. And so I love it. I love that you're passionate about that. That's awesome. That's like how I am with the corners. Like everyone's like, oh, it's not that important. It just is. And I love it. I will not put any offensive linemen as my realistic options. I'll leave that for you, brother.
There you go. There you
And
go.
I'll go right into. We talked about it earlier. Alex Anzalone.
For sure.
I'm not hating on him. I just think that he's an older, aging guy. Well, I think he's like between 30 and 32 now. Like, he's not changing your future.
Right.
He would make us better. Not saying that. I think he's a fun player. He's a good team leader, and like
that. He's captain in Detroit.
Pretty solid, and he's not bad in coverage, which was a huge thing in Tampa last year.
Yes.
So while I think that that's the most realistic option we get in the inside linebacker free agent market, that's probably as high as we'll go with it.
Right.
But I think that he would be a solid starter for us next season. I just fear what happens after next season because, again, he's 32, 33, somewhere in there. I don't know how old he is.
I think he's 31. Yeah, early 30s. Yeah.
So he's got, not everyone plays as long as Levante David does. So he's got 3 or 4 years left tops, and that's on the high side. Like, next year could be his last year if he wanted to, realistically. So it's like I call that realistic because of what Tampa's done in the past. I don't think that's the best game plan for your future to sign free agents to 1-year deals, but I think that you get him on a 2-year deal for relatively cheap and it works out for you, but it's just not fun.
Yeah, I do think that route works a lot better if they draft a linebacker to play next to him, because then you kind of can get the best of both worlds. You can address the position moving forward while also trying to potentially get a more of a known upgrade. Like Jacob Rodriguez, I think we both agree he's great, and like there are other linebackers in this draft class that we'll talk about in future episodes that we're really high on, but those are not known commodities. Like Jacob Rodriguez could be great, but he could also come in and stink up.
He could come in and be Servassier Dennis.
Exactly. So like there's a very real world where that exists. Whereas Alex Anzalone, we've seen him play his whole career. He's a known commodity. He's not going to might not have the upside of some of the linebackers that they could draft, but he also certainly doesn't have necessarily the downside. So I think that's sort of how they would probably try to justify it or balance it or whatnot. So, some guys that we maybe didn't touch on that maybe just missed your list. Was there anyone that maybe you were thinking about putting on here, but you were like, maybe we'll talk about them later? Or
I'd probably talk about them later, but like Boye Mafe,
from Seattle. Yeah,
some edge guys. There's one. Oh, why am I blanking on his name right now? Played in Baltimore.
Oh gosh,
Odafe Oye.
Odafe Oye or something.
Yeah, he played that. I got traded to the Chargers and then kind of unlocked like this potential. Like, I think those are other realistic options, but I also think that they're young still, so they're gonna probably get overpaid on a breakout season. So it's like that's the only reason I didn't put them on the realistic option, because they're young, and Tampa's not going to pay a young guy off of a breakout season. It's just not happening. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily blame them, because like paying. You have to overpay in free agency for every position, but you really have to overpay for edge rushers. And if you're going to bank on one guy's production, then the Bucs have had their issues with drafting edge rushers in the first round. I get all that, and I don't necessarily disagree.
First 3 rounds,
right? First 3 rounds, yeah. Other than Yaya Diaby and even, but yeah, I do see why a team like Tampa or any team really would say, he had a great year, but like, are we going to pay him the amount that another team might be willing to pay him? Maybe not. Like, I don't know. And I feel that way.
But also, like, I guess I tried too much to dabble into the like what ifs, like
the
next Zach Bond, what if kind of a deal. And so like for me, it's like I think it's worth it to take that risk every now and then.
Sure.
Not every year, because you're not going to hit every year, but coming in and signing Randy Gregory, who's not really produced ever.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it's just a 1-year deal, it's still a trash. Like, that's not any good.
A wasted season. Yeah. And I definitely get it. Cause, what was I going to say? Cause it's frustrating to be that risk averse. It can be frustrating to have them kind of avoid that entirely. Cause the upside is so tantalizing, where like, if you get a guy like him who capitalizes or continues to produce at the level that he did last year, then there's not really a dollar amount that you could pay that would be an overpay, because they're so valuable. Like, they're so high impact. Those types of edge rushers, they're so good. So yeah, I thought it was a really interesting conversation to try to bring some more like clarity, or bring some more specifics to our free agents talks, because we can talk about positions and abstract players and bring that kind of stuff up. But it's nice to be a little bit more specific about it, because, then we can look back and say, hey, the Bucs did sign Sean Ryan and Caden Ellis, even though they're both boring as heck. I don't know. I really enjoyed talking about some free agents and talking about some guys that could or could not end up in a Bucs uniform. And we'll continue to talk about those types of conversations, because we've got some draft stuff coming up. So we're going to be talking about those positions. I am very excited for it as well. This year, we're going to do something a little different, because we're going to talk about, I believe, up to 9 positions this year. Yeah, we had 9 positions ranked. So we're going to talk about 9 up to – we try to limit it to 7. But this year, hey, why not? I think 8 or 9. I can't remember the exact number. But I'm excited, because we'll get to talk about some positions that, maybe the Bucs don't even draft, but it's still fun to talk about. So, yeah, any closing thoughts before we log off? No,
I mean, I know it's weird not having Musab here to close us out and start us off. But again, guys, we love y'all no matter what. Thank y'all for listening. That's it, man.
Yeah, and hit that like and subscribe button if you liked what you heard, because we'll be back next week with some more Bucs content. So definitely keep in tune for that. Like Zach said, hit us up wherever. Drop those comments if you want to get engaged with the free agent talks or the draft talks, whatever the case may be. We'll put you up on the screen. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. But again, appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you so much to my wonderful co-host, Mr. Zach Blaine. We will see y'all next week. But until then, and as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.